Whether people want to say it was a robbery or not, he won the fight. At the end of the day, it is a W in his column and a L in Yan's column. So he at least showed the judges at least a little bit to where he won the fight. And whether people want to say it was a robbery or not, it has happened before in other fights when it comes to striking versus grappling. A lot of the time, you will see striking be favored compared to grappling. You'll see someone have someone on the ground more. They'll have more ground control, yet the person that was striking more, that had more significant strikes, will win the decision if it goes all the way. What's going on, bros and hoes? It's your host, Kevin Hoops. We're back. Not sure if this is a podcast, not sure if this is a show. I'm going to get the name of the channel down soon, but welcome to the channel. My name is Kevin Hoops. I know there's a lot of new subscribers coming in, at least for me. We're starting to really gain some traction here, I think, of gaining a community. And I just want to welcome all the new subscribers and all the new viewers that are coming to the channel and coming back and rewatching the content. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Moving on. Just to tell you guys a little bit of what to expect coming forward with the channel in the upcoming weeks. We're going to be going over fights. We're going to be doing fight predictions. We're going to be reacting to the fights. Hopefully doing some live watch parties for the UFC events. And possibly dabbling in some other fight promotions and some other MMA promotions. We will see. We will see. Now that I got that out of the way, we are going to be going into Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley's fight today. We had a big controversy at the end of the fight where I think it could have went either way. I really think after looking back on it, seeing the different opinions from everybody, I think it could have went either way. Honestly, if you look back on it, it's probably all going back to round one and giving it to Petr Yan or giving it to Sean O'Malley. And I gave my opinion right after it happened on the weekend. I definitely think I had Petr Yan winning it. But at that same time, Sean O'Malley definitely proved himself. We all knew he had striking, but we didn't know if it was going to be able to match up to a high level, an elite level fighter mixed with grappling and striking. Will he be able to combine both and still go into deep waters and survive and come out on top? Did we expect it to go the way it did in decision in winning Sean O'Malley? As in, I think a lot of us were expecting Sean O'Malley to win by knockout if he were to win. I don't think a lot of us were expecting it to go to a decision and him winning. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I definitely think there's probably a million different things people are saying about the judges and how that can be fixed. I'm not in the business of fighting. I don't know much about fight commissions in general. I do know that some of the rules and some of the things can be a little fishy, obviously, when you just look at boxing and whatnot. But going back into the fight, you had 5 minutes of ground control from Petr Yan. You had more significant strikes with O'Malley. So I just think you have it a striker versus a grappler. And not saying Petr Yan's not a striker. He's a very high-level striker. But where I think he gained the respect of O'Malley in the sense of striking, he noticed he was not going to be able to hang striking with O'Malley. And he got caught multiple times. Multiple times O'Malley almost had him. He almost finished him during the second or third round. And I think it was in the third round, he almost had him on his feet, but then Yan went for another takedown. So getting back into the fight, I want to also bring up how O'Malley, yes, he did get dominated on the ground a lot, but he was able to get back up. He was able to stand up in multiple rounds. So I think there is something to say where he is experienced on the ground. He does have experience there. He may not be the best, but he definitely has experience and room for improvement, which I think he's going to go back to the drawing board and definitely get better with that in his next training camp. Now, when it comes down to O'Malley's future, I think this is where things can get interesting. Because after the rankings that were now put out on Monday, he is now ranked number 1 in his division. So in the bantamweight division, you've got Aljamain Sterling as champ, Sean O'Malley as the number 1 contender, and Petr Yan as the number 2 contender. So I really think his next fight is going to be Aljo. Unless he fights number 3, which is going to be Marab, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the next fight for him is against the champ, which is going to be Aljo, who's all grappling for the most part. There's no way Aljo is going to... If Petr Yan didn't strike with O'Malley, there's no way Aljo's going to strike with O'Malley. There's just no possible way. If Aljo wasn't going to strike with Yan, then Aljo's definitely not going to strike with O'Malley if Yan didn't. It's just that simple. I think Yan's striking is way better than Aljo's, but obviously I think O'Malley's height difference, and because he's used that so much in all of his fights, his striking is on another level. I think we're going to see if O'Malley can keep the fight standing up. If he can keep the fight off the ground, he might have a chance at winning the championship belt in possibly the fastest time we've seen anyone be in the UFC. Maybe not the fastest time, but he's only had a few fights in the UFC, and he's fought 3 ranked people basically, and is already fighting for the belt. How? I think that's extremely, extremely tippable from any UFC fighter. Now, that's not saying that, we might see something else happen. I'm just saying, if you're looking at it from the most entertaining, what is hot right now, Sean O'Malley is hot right now. A lot of people were comparing this to Conor McGregor beating Aldo. I wouldn't say it's there yet, depending on how much of a career O'Malley wants in the fighting business. But, it could very well be very comparable to that. This is his... He has proved himself. Whether people want to say it was a robbery or not, he won the fight. At the end of the day, it is a W in his column and a L in Jan's column. So he at least showed the judges at least a little bit to where he won the fight. And whether people want to say it was a robbery or not, it has happened before in other fights when it comes to striking versus grappling. A lot of the time, you will see striking be favored compared to grappling. You'll see someone have someone on the ground more. They'll have more ground control, yet the person that was striking more, that had more significant strikes, will win the decision if it goes all the way. So I think if you really want to look at it as a robbery, well, Yan could have possibly, number one, known that it could have went to decision and went for more of a knockout, or went for more of a grappling type of style of fighting and went more for a submission. I didn't really see him go for a submission at all. He couldn't get a submission on O'Malley, whether that was because of O'Malley's defense or Yan just wasn't planning on having an on-the-ground fight with him. Who knows? But at the end of the day, O'Malley got the W, and Yan did not, and O'Malley is the one that's going to possibly have the title fight, and Yan is the one that's going to now have to come back, which probably, with how old he is, and already having the title, you don't see many people get the title 2-3 times. They get it once, and then they may get close again. They might get number 1 contender. They might fight for it again. But even winning that fight against someone that's younger and possibly more skilled, it is that much harder after already doing it once. It is almost twice as hard. Now, I'm not trying to bring a Petr Yan hate train or anything, but looking at what his future is going to be, I might see him maybe facing Dillashaw, Sandhagen, someone in the middle, because he's now on a 2-fight losing streak. There's no way he's fighting for the title next, especially after just having a rematch against Sterling for the title and completely getting dominated, I would say. So when it comes to it, he's definitely not fighting for the title. And even fighting number 3 or number 4, I could maybe see him fighting Marlon Chito Vera. But even if you think about that, he might go on a 3-fight losing streak then, because he's got a lot of heat right now. Chito Vera has got a lot of heat, all right? And I ain't talking about the Dorito heat. So honestly, when it comes to the future of both of these fighters, I think it's going to be interesting. And not only interesting, but it's going to be entertaining. I am going to be watching those fights from start to finish because I'm a fan of both of them. Both of their fighting styles interest me, and I'm down to watch them. That's all I got for you guys in this one. Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. It was an absolute great fight. Let me know who you guys had. I really, once again, I thought I had Petr Yan, but at the end of the day, Sean O'Malley won. So that's what the future is going to hold. But let me know who you guys had. Let me know. It was a very close one. Don't forget, we are going to be uploading almost every single day this week. Stay tuned in. Comment below, subscribe. We got like 2,000 views on the last video and only 20 subscribers. I know you guys are out there. Just hit the button. I really appreciate it. I won't let you I will make sure you guys will not regret that decision. All right? Believe me. But with that, hopefully you guys are enjoying the content and have a great fucking day.